22 May 2024, Zanu PF War Veterans League holds its first National Assembly with President Mnangagwa delivering a keynote address reflecting on the nation's journey and future aspirations. Since its formation in 2022, Zanu PF War Veterans League was created with the agenda that war veterans find their space in the operations of the Zanu PF party. Previously, war veterans were only affiliated to Zanu PF but not part of Zanu PF, but since the year 2022, they became a fully fledged wing of Zanu PF. Before that, Zanu PF had only two wings, the Women's League and the Youth League. Now they have the War Veterans League. In the year 2022, they asked President Emmerson Mnangagwa for consideration of a war veterans quota in the National Assembly to ensure that the party is represented by the comrades grounded in ideology. Since the party already has a youth quota and a women's quota. Before the War Vets League, we had the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. They had been instrumental to Mugabe through many elections, especially in the 2000s when they silenced Morgan Tsvangirai and the MDC. Fast forward to the year 2016, we will see the war veterans withdrawing their support from Mugabe, calling on him to uproot the rot and corruption that was eating away the country. 1 year later, the year is 2017, we see Mugabe removed. Let's rewind again, going back, even way back to 1989. The month is April, and the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association is formed. Disgruntled former ZANLA and ZIPRA personnel feel they have not received sufficient rewards for their wartime service. The government opposes the war vets and initially perceived them as political threats. Following their first Congress in the year 1992, they resolved to secure the welfare of all ZANLA and ZIPRA cadres and lobby the state on their behalf concerning two issues: pensions and other benefits, and land ownership. For 8 years since its formation, the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association has been a virtual non-entity. But that changed when Tsvangirai Hunzi became its chairman in 1997. Hunzi bitterly criticized Zanu PF for profiting itself while its former guerrillas were ignored and cheated. Since 1980, the war veterans had collectively been robbed of a total of 10 billion Zim dollars by Zanu PF senior officials and Robert Gabriel Mugabe's close relatives. In the wake of the war veterans' demands, the government panicked and had to pay off concessions. The Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association pointed out that ZIPRA and ZANLA personnel excluded from the National Army at Indipendence had received only small pensions until the year 1983. In the wake of the growing financial crisis in the early 1990s, the organization demonstrated at Zanu PF headquarters in Harare and successfully lobbied for additional gratuities of Zim $50,000, equivalent to US $6,000, tax-free pensions of 2,000 Zim dollars a month were also considered. This success inspired protests from another group, the Women in the National Liberation War Collaborators Association, which called on President Mugabe to also compensate female partisans who had served as scouts and spies during the Bush War. Anamjiba Nachimbugido. In the year 2000, January, Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association wrote a letter addressed to Queen Elizabeth II on the land issue. Now, in the 2000 election, war veterans were active in orchestrations, spearheading campaigns for Zanu PF against Morgan Tsvangirai's MDC, and they were silencing demonstrations that were coming from the opposition. They became instrumental for Zanu PF in suppressing the opposition. Now, after the leadership of Tsvangirai Hunzi came Jabulani Sibanda and none other than Joseph Chinotimba. And then we get to Christopher Mnangagwa. Now we have the Zanu PF War Veterans League, and they've just held their first National Assembly. The question is, what happens next?